Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celsius 233, your go-to place for fiction book summaries. Today, we will turn the pages of Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. Journey to the Center of the Earth is one of Jules Verne's most famous works, originally published in 1864. Verne, often hailed as one of the fathers of science fiction, weaves a tale of adventure, discovery, and science in this novel. The story follows Professor Otto Liedenbrock, his nephew Axel, and their guide Hans as they embark on a perilous journey beneath the Earth's surface, encountering prehistoric creatures, vast subterranean landscapes, and facing a series of natural and personal challenges. This novel captures the spirit of 19th-century exploration, blending scientific curiosity with the boundless possibilities of fiction. Plot summary: Axel's life had always been fairly predictable. He lived in Hamburg with his eccentric uncle, Professor Otto Liedenbrock, a brilliant but impulsive scientist known for his expertise in mineralogy. One afternoon, Professor Liedenbrock burst into their home with a mysterious manuscript he had acquired from an old bookshop. The manuscript contained an ancient Icelandic text, but more importantly, hidden within its pages was a cryptic code written in runes. The professor's insatiable curiosity was piqued, and soon he was obsessively working to decipher the code, dragging his reluctant nephew Axel into the mystery. After hours of frustrating attempts, the professor finally cracked the code. It was a message from Arne Saknussemm, a 16th-century Icelandic alchemist who claimed to have discovered a passage to the center of the Earth. The message described how one could reach this passage by descending into the crater of a dormant volcano called Sneffels in Iceland, precisely when the shadow of a certain peak, Skartaris, fell upon it. Enthralled by the possibility of making such a groundbreaking discovery, Professor Liedenbrock announced that they would journey to Iceland immediately. Axel, however, was not as eager. The idea of venturing into the depths of the Earth terrified him, but his uncle's determination was unstoppable. Within days, they had gathered supplies and were on their way to Reykjavik, where they hired Hans Belker, a quiet but reliable Icelandic guide, to accompany them on their dangerous expedition. With Hans by their side, the trio began their trek to the dormant volcano. The journey was grueling, filled with harsh landscapes and unpredictable weather. Upon reaching the summit of Sneffels, they found the entrance described in Saknussemm's note. As the shadow of Skartaris fell over the crater, Professor Liedenbrock, Axel, and Hans descended into the Earth, leaving behind the world they knew. The initial descent into the labyrinthine tunnels was arduous, with the three men navigating narrow passages, underground rivers, and perilous cliffs. As they ventured deeper, the darkness became absolute, and Axel's doubts and fears began to mount. He worried constantly about the unknown dangers that lay ahead: lack of food, water, or worse, being trapped underground forever. But Professor Liedenbrock remained steadfast in his belief that their journey would lead to unimaginable discoveries. After days of descent, the trio stumbled upon an enormous underground chamber, an awe-inspiring world that defied all logic. It was a vast subterranean sea, stretching endlessly in every direction, its shore lined with strange vegetation and towering mushroom-like plants. Prehistoric creatures roamed this forgotten world, massive reptiles and sea monsters that had long been extinct on the Earth's surface. As they built a raft to cross the underground sea, Axel could hardly believe the surreal beauty and danger of this hidden world. Yet, as amazed as he was, his heart remained heavy with the constant fear of never returning to the surface. Their voyage across the subterranean sea was fraught with peril. A violent storm tossed their raft through the air, driving them into unknown territories. For days, they were stranded, battling enormous waves and the threat of terrifying sea creatures. It was during this storm that Axel became separated from the others. Lost in the maze of tunnels, Axel wandered alone, his mind consumed with thoughts of death and despair. He heard strange echoes that sent chills down his spine, and the oppressive silence of the deep earth weighed heavily on him. Miraculously, Axel managed to reunite with his uncle and Hans, who had feared him dead. The reunion brought renewed hope, and they continued their journey. But soon, the trio faced another obstacle: a massive wall of solid rock that blocked their path. Professor Liedenbrock, undeterred, devised a plan to use dynamite to blast their way through. The explosion was deafening, and the force of it set off a violent earthquake that sent them tumbling through the earth in an uncontrollable whirlpool of water and debris. After hours of chaos, they found themselves being hurled upwards at a terrifying speed. Axel, struggling to stay conscious, could feel the pressure around him easing as they were pushed closer and closer to the surface. When they finally emerged, gasping for air, they were greeted not by the frigid Icelandic landscape, but by the warmth of an Italian sun. They had been ejected from the earth through the volcanic crater of Stromboli in southern Italy. Disoriented and amazed, the three men stumbled onto solid ground. Their journey to the center of the earth had come to a strange and unexpected conclusion. Professor Liedenbrock, though disappointed they hadn't reached the true center of the earth, was elated by the adventure and the knowledge they had gained. Axel, on the other hand, was simply relieved to be alive and to see the sky again. In the months that followed, Axel and his uncle returned to Hamburg, where the professor's discovery earned him great acclaim in the scientific community. Although they hadn't reached the center of the Earth, their expedition had proven that the Earth's depths held more mystery and wonder than anyone had ever imagined. For Axel, the greatest reward was being reunited with his beloved fiancée, Graben. Though his uncle continued to dream of new scientific conquests, Axel had learned that sometimes the greatest adventure of all was simply returning home. Looking for more great reads? Be sure to check out other books by Jules Verne. Find them in the description or on Celsius 233. Remember, while our summaries capture the essence, they can never replace the full experience of reading the book. If this summary intrigued you, consider diving into the complete story, buy the book, and immerse yourself in Jules Verne's original work. Bye-bye, take care, have fun.